Hello and welcome to Autology, the weekly podcast that brings you the latest on automotive technology. This week's episode is called Are Premium In-Car Audio Experiences Becoming More Mainstream? And you're here with me, Vivek Beriwal, Connected Car and Vehicle Experience Analyst at S&P Global Mobility. Joining me today is Riley Winton, Manager of User Experience Concept at Harman. Thanks for joining, Riley. Let's dive right in. I know you're excited.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Vivek. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Perfect. Okay, where should we start? It's such an exciting area. We've seen that with increasing vehicle autonomy and shared mobility use cases, multiple people consume different content in the same vehicle, right? The overall user interface and experience has really, the quality of time a consumer spends inside a vehicle has become very important. Now, my question to you is, how significant a role can in-car audio and acoustic experience play here?
It's a great question. And I guess the answer is it can play a massive role. This area of like personalized sound and personalized entertainment is really a hot area in automotive now. And we've actually just recently introduced a handful of solutions to help promote this type of experience for people. So last year we introduced what we call Ready Together. It's basically an integrated, family-focused entertainment and communications platform. So simply put, different people in the car. You can imagine, family of four, parents up front, maybe 2 kids, 3 kids in the back of the car. Each of them can basically do their own thing, watch their own cartoons, movies, listen to their own music, podcasts, really whatever they need. Without interrupting or bothering each other. However, they remain connected and in communication throughout the experience. So this kind of multiple people in a single space use case is really enabled by this Ready Together solution. And it allows people to, again, get their entertainment, get what they want without being bothered by the other people in the space. So yeah, absolutely huge. And these types of experiences require really, really well thought out interfaces, user experiences to bring them to life. So that's something we're really proud that we've shared recently and helped solve that problem.
Yes, really exciting space that. Okay, in-car sound management technologies, have greatly evolved over the past couple of decades or so. In a way, we've seen that most consumer electronic technologies have spilled over to the car cabin. 2 technologies in particular, active noise cancellation and surround sound, have really become the hallmark of premium audio experience for cars, right?
Yep.
Do you think active noise cancellation and surround sound have started to become more mainstream in automotive now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially, I guess I'll start with the latter, the surround sound aspect. Really, this has almost become like table stakes in automotive. What years ago used to be, hey, just deliver good stereo audio. That's kind of your starting point. Now, pretty much the expectation is you can deliver some flavor of spatial audio or surround sound or immersive audio, something along those lines. So we've got a lot of different techniques across a really wide spectrum, for all the way on one side of the spectrum for kind of volume cars, very lightweight, very, very small amount of speaker content, very streamlined, efficient type of system. We have a lot of different types of processing that we can enhance that. What otherwise would be a very basic and simple sound experience, we can enhance that and give you that really immersive sound, really big sound, which is really what a lot of people want nowadays. And on the other end of the spectrum, imagine, your ultra premium systems with 20, 30 or more speakers throughout the car. Obviously, there's plenty of content to start with. So really from there, it's taking our expertise of in-car tuning and taking our number of different premium audio brands and providing that amazing surround immersive audio experience. So yeah, that one absolutely is big. And the other one you mentioned, active noise cancellation. Same deal. ANC or active noise cancellation is kind of similarly almost an expectation nowadays. What's funny is with the trend of electrification, EVs, a lot of people assume, hey, well, it's an EV, it doesn't have an engine, right? So it's going to be quieter. Therefore, maybe I don't need ANC. But the funny catch-22, if you will, is a lot of these vehicles it's so critical to make them lightweight that a lot of the typical NVH or noise, vibration, harshness materials get stripped out in the design of the vehicle. So you end up with something that would be quieter, but they've stripped out all the dampening material and fabrics and things to make it quieter have gotten stripped out. So it ends up kind of being about the same, sometimes even louder. So again, we can use our different technologies like road noise cancellation to help eliminate or reduce a lot of those unpleasant sounds in the car.
Perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, immersive is really the buzzword these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the hot item in car audio, especially.
Yep, agree with you. Okay, moving on to the mega trends now. As you spoke about vehicle electrification, it's the buzzword these days, right? And automakers are looking for audio systems that allow significant savings, in terms of weight and space, as well as more flexibility in terms of cockpit design when compared to conventional audio systems. Now, I have some examples here to quote. The sound systems in the Tesla Model 3 and the new Model S have received highly positive reviews. They've even been compared to an expensive Bang & Olufsen system, but for a fraction of the price.
Mm-hmm.
How large do you think would be the impact of electrification and lightweighting on in-car audio systems going forward?
So it's huge. I guess starting broadly first, electrification has kind of changed the game for how in-car audio systems are delivered, and it's changed kind of the system criteria, like what's important to the automaker and what's important to the end user. I'll admit we started this a few years ago, and we introduced a system called Ecotect that I can describe a little bit more in a minute here. But we started down the path. I'll admit, a little ignorantly. We started by saying like, well, hey, what's the problem? What are going to be the problem or the pain points for the EV space? And most people, the assumption is energy consumption, right? Like you don't want to take too much power because every drop of power you take, metaphorically speaking, takes away from your driving. And we did a whole lot of research, and basically we did the math and tried to calculate how much an audio system impacts your driving or your driving range specifically. And I guess we're a little bit surprised, maybe not, but we found that even the worst case, the biggest, power hungry audio systems out there in a worst case environment, crank the thing to max volume and drive for 8 hours, just terrible use cases, corner cases. Even in those cases, the audio system is not really the biggest culprit for power consumption in the car. Simply put, it's really not much at all when you compare it to the power needs of a drivetrain or even the HVAC, the heating and cooling system of the car. So we went into it thinking, oh, we got to make the ultimate power efficient system and this and that. And while of course that is important, we realized that the bigger gains would be focused more on weight and overall integration complexity. And what I mean by that, weight is pretty self-explanatory. The more weight the car has, the more energy it takes to move. So, fewer speakers, lighter speakers, maybe fewer number of locations. Every time you put a speaker somewhere in a car, you've got to run wire to it. You've got to have a bigger amplifier with an additional channel. All those things add up. It's not really just the power consumption itself. So we made a system that focuses on that and also solves some of those integration challenges. OEMs have long been suffering from this immense complexity. Even one vehicle, you imagine, okay, maybe it's got 3 or 4 trim levels, different, even all the way down to paint colors and interior colors. And then you've got branded audio systems versus base grade audio systems. It's this huge, huge complicated matrix. So we worked on consolidating that and creating a lighter, more streamlined solution for an audio that makes it not only lighter and easier for the car itself, but lighter and easier for the OEM to implement as well. And that's our Ecotect solution. And while I talked about power consumption not being the big culprit, we did introduce some new technologies that further helped the power consumption of our systems. For example, a discrete Class D amplifier that we created and some different speaker configurations that ultimately, when you add it all together, we're able to provide a comparable listening experience or even better listening experience with about 50% of the system mass and about 50% of the power consumption. So we looked at kind of the big picture is my point, and we created something that helps the OEM, helps the automaker, as well as helps the user for their drive experience.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And one good thing about electric vehicles is that they're much more quiet than internal combustion vehicles, so they don't require insanely high sound outputs, right?
That's true, and I guess the other aspect of that is you don't always have the same constraints on where you can put speakers.
Right.
So for example, a lot of vehicles now are getting further and further away from our traditional seating layout. We have new designs,
Mhm.
especially with autonomous vehicles on the horizon, where maybe seats aren't in the same place. Maybe you don't have traditional doors where you could put the classic door woofer in the bottom. So that opens up a lot of opportunities
Yeah,
for us to get creative with where we put parts. And obviously, depending on where the parts are in the car, where the speakers are placed, and where the listener is, we can usually rely on a lot of acoustic tricks to get a little extra efficiency as well.
that's right. That's right. I mean, that reminds me of seat-based speakers. There's another popular trend is the concept of embedding speakers right inside the seats, usually in the headrests,
Yes,
for a more immersive audio
definitely.
experience. And speakers built into the headrests are closer to the occupant's ears and are therefore appropriate for open top vehicles like convertibles and roadsters, where the sound usually fades away in the breeze.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
headrest-based
exactly correct.
speakers. Yeah, yeah. So headrest-based speakers work with advanced signal processing to create more individualized audio experiences, and I think these are moving to very mainstream cars like something like Nissan Micra or the Nissan
Hmm.
Kicks, which are not luxury, by any means.
Right.
So yeah, it's very interesting space.
Yeah, the headrest space, or like you said, seat-based audio space is another hot
Yeah.
area for us right now because it solves a lot of problems. I mean, you already hit one of them directly, is it brings speakers closer to the ears. So we can automatically save a little bit of weight, size, cost, etc., and give people comparable output, acoustic output. Um, but they also open the door for a lot of different usability features.
Yeah.
Let's start at the bottom end. Just a very simple application. If you have a near field speaker, or a headrest speaker, or upper seat, something close to your ears, even without
Hmm.
advanced processing, just routing different signals to these can open a lot of new features and new use cases for the user. So, example, driver prompts. So, say maybe you're a family of four driving down the road. Everyone's listening to music together, having a great time. Nowadays, if you've got turn by turn navigation, when it's Google or Apple or whoever is telling you, hey, in 1 mile turn right on whatever street, well, the whole music
Hmm.
experience ducks, right? Everything turns down and everyone has to listen to
Yep.
these prompts, even though it doesn't matter to 75% of the car, or more. So with this driver
That's
prompt
true.
situation, you can simply route those prompts only to the driver's headrest or seat speakers so that they hear the
Hmm.
information relevant to them, and everyone else in the car can just keep enjoying their music uninterrupted. So this is a very simple application, and it also can extend into phone calls even. So if you couple that with a microphone solution in the car, um, you can now basically have these personalized phone calls throughout the car while everyone else can continue to enjoy their media. And again, that's just the bottom of the simplicity pyramid, if you will. On the top end,
Hmm.
kind of to our conversation earlier, if you've got near field speakers in each car, not only does that open the door for really advanced immersive audio, spatial audio, it even gets into
Hmm.
personalized audio. So sound zones sending different content into each seat so people can listen to different stuff. Um, even just personalized tweaking. So maybe someone wants, maybe say there's a mom and dad are in the front of the car. Dad wants a really big sound
Hmm.
all around him, super immersive. Maybe mom wants more of that traditional, almost stereo kind of reference audiophile type of experience. Well, if you have near fields or headrest speakers, you can now individualize that experience so that everyone can get what they want. So yeah, absolutely. In summary, near fields, headrests, seat based, whatever you want to call it, that's a big playing field for us now, and it solves a lot of problems and opens the door to a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really mind-boggling the kind of technology that's seeping into the cockpit these days.
Oh yeah, it's exciting for sure. Especially, I've always said automotive is kind of that intersection where you've got a lot of unique problems all kind of vying for I guess the user's attention, and
Hmm.
it sounds kind of chaotic, but it really creates a lot of awesome opportunity for us to create some really cool things that actually help people's lives. Make their lives easier, make them more fun. time well spent, all those types of things.
Absolutely. Okay, moving to another buzzword, connectivity. With the arrival of 5G, usage of streaming media via a variety of sources has increased, right? And pushing audio system suppliers to come up with new ways of optimizing sound reproduction. If you can share your thoughts on this aspect a little bit.
Yeah, no, connectivity is huge. It's kind of funny because, maybe not even 10 years ago, this streaming content was kind of the big question mark, right? Like, hey, can we stream in the car?
Yeah.
Can we stream on the go? Well, right now, streaming is not only the future. It's the present. It's here. Like, that's the vast majority of people's media consumption is streaming. And it's kind of a different question set. In the past, it was, hey, can we get a high quality signal, when it was all focused on codecs and streaming and compression and all that stuff. Now it's kind of a given that we can get a good audio signal to the car. So now the question is, what cool stuff can we do with that on top of just a good audio signal? So this is where it really unlocks, again, a lot of advanced experiences. So I'll say it again: spatial audio, multi-channel audio, things like Dolby Atmos, a lot of these like almost cinema types of experiences on the go. Most people are streaming this high fidelity content at home. So why can't we do it in the car? And if we have our audio systems configured to deliver that type of experience, who's to say you can't enjoy it on the road? Obviously not while driving, of course, but in the future with autonomous, or maybe if you're parked in the parking lot taking a little lunch break at the office, your car can do that for you, and it's a really awesome place to enjoy that type of experience. And on top of that, not really talking about connectivity for audio itself, but the features pertaining to audio. So of course, OTA, over the air updates, are a big thing. A lot of people are familiar with that for the cars themselves, getting software updates or whatever for your infotainment, for your radio cluster, whatever. But we have a new platform we've introduced recently called Experience on Demand, or EOD. And it's a similar thing, but it gives the user a lot more flexibility to learn and adapt the system to exactly what he or she wants. So for example, say you buy a car, and I don't know, I'm making this up, you buy a JBL Toyota, a premium branded system. It sounds great. It just delivers good sound at its core. But on top of that, as you own the car, maybe through this EOD platform, Experience on Demand platform, you can customize and add different features that are relevant to you. So say you're a commuter, you're always doing conference calls, business calls, you can download a feature pack that contains our latest noise cancellation microphone technology, for example, ClearChat. Maybe you don't do that and you just want to have the coolest, most immersive sound experience ever. You can download an enhanced spatial audio pack or something like that. So this is all enabled by this connectivity, this V2X type of experience. And yeah, it again opens the door for a lot of really cool stuff and a lot of personalization.
Absolutely. Great. Let's now move to another hot area, software. We've seen principle to the car today, right?
Yep.
And we have interesting use cases like engine sound enhancement and various signal processing algorithms. How do you see software evolving in this space? That all software-enabled branded audio solution. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So yeah, you mentioned SEBA, or software-enabled branded audio. That's a big part of it. You could kind of consider it similar to that Experience on Demand platform. It's the idea that kind of take a step to the left of what I described before. So rather than buying the quote JBL or Harman Kardon or whatever branded system up front, maybe you just buy the car, right? And after you drive the car for a while, you say, hey, I really like, this sounds all right, but I really want a step up in my audio experience. Same idea. With only the software in the head unit or in the radio, we can upgrade that listening experience to give you a branded audio experience at just the touch of a button. So again, comparable to that EOD thing. And maybe on top of that, on top of just better sound, we also give you a handful of features. Maybe it's personalized tone controls. So we have our Personify experience that can match your listening experience based on your hearing capabilities, as well as your preference. We have some other
Right.
features like virtual venues that can create the sense of a different physical space in the car. All these things are kind of enabled by both SEBA and EOD, those two different platforms. And yeah, there's even really cool things talking about EV or electric vehicles before, engine sound enhancement. So one of the, again, cool aspects of EV is since there's no engine, you can make the car sound like pretty much whatever you want with the speakers in the car. So some people want to go the traditional route and make it sound like, I don't know, 67 Chevy, whatever, awesome V8, something like that. Or, I mean, you can go totally space
Yes.
age. You can say, oh, I want to drive whatever, the Jetsons spaceship. You can do really anything in between. So it creates totally novel driving experiences, and it kind of leverages one of the strengths of EV, and it gives you a blank canvas to work with, which ends up being a lot of fun.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's come back to the ultra premium audio space that you spoke about earlier. Now we're seeing that competition in the premium audio space is rising, and the Maseratis and the Porsches, the OEMs want to keep them a notch above the Audis, the Mercs, and the BMWs, right?
Definitely.
So it's really a challenge nowadays to to see how the ultra premium audio space pans out.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see this space evolve going forward?
Yeah, it's another good question. Well, a lot of the points we've already talked about, the spatial audio, the 3D sound, those things are going to continue to be differentiators. It's kind of an assumption that an ultra premium audio system in a car, it's generally going to have a lot more content, whether that's speakers or speaker locations or higher power capabilities. All those things will enable you to do more with your audio system. So with that, consequently, we can deliver a better system. So that's a big part of it, just more advanced features of the listening experience. The second one I would say is the audio usability. So again, I've already described a lot of these, but things like phone zone, sound zones, ready together.
Right.
It's not just listening to audio, but what can you do with your audio? How will it make your life better? That's another big differentiator that's enabled in these ultra premium spaces. And then the last one, go ahead.
I think conversation enhancement is going to be the biggest differentiator in the ultra premium audio space.
And absolutely, and there's a lot of ways to do that too. Some very simple, so maybe you're not talking ultra premium audio. We have some technologies that whenever someone starts talking, we just simply turn the music down kind of seamlessly. It makes it very organic and natural to talk rather than constantly reaching up and turning the volume knob. But for the ultra premium space, we have our advanced active communication technologies like ICC, in-car communication, where we actually take microphones and we can route the audio real time to the, from the front row to the back row or back to the front or whichever, to make it, again, even like reinforcing your speech in the car. So for the ultra premium space, that's another big differentiator, just to make life easier for these, big family cars or even, commuter cars, with phone calls, things like that. And then one other thing I definitely want to highlight is it's a little understated in audio because we get so focused on what we hear, but it's very much also what you see and what you touch. We talk a lot about these crown jewel pieces, especially for the brands that we have. We have this very strong portfolio of brands, and each one has its own DNA. And when you get in the car and you hit play and you play to your favorite song, yes, it's predominantly about the audio experience, right? How it sounds, but it's a multimodal experience. You're sitting, you're seeing, you're touching, you're looking at the materials, whether it's wood or aluminum or whatever material. And a lot of these brands have very unique visual expression. So I continue to see that as a really powerful way to differentiate not only between brands, but across that segment, that ultra premium segment. Especially when you start seeing the future and you talk about motorized parts. Even right now, Audi's and Bang & Olufsen systems have the motorized moving tweeter. That's a big icon. Rebel speakers have the beautiful anodized aluminum grills that are very iconic. Or Bowers and Wilkins, you've got the tweeter on top, very very visual, key visual. So all those types of things I think are going to be the big one. And again, layer on top of that in the future, lighting and movement, and more of those magical elements. To me, that's where the real magic experience magic happens for ultra premium.
Right. I agree with you, Riley. Okay, that brings us to the last question of the day. And this one relates to the audio strategy that OEMs pursue. Now, we know that automakers cater to a wide range of car buyers by employing a selective audio sourcing approach and creating subtle variations in the quality of audio systems they offer. Some automakers prefer to partner up with specialist car audio companies. Some focus on studying and developing the most appropriate sound setup in-house and bring the most optimal audio delivery, right?
Yep.
But what according to you, Riley, is the best audio deployment strategy to follow for an OEM?
That's a good question. I guess I should admit up front, of course, I'm biased. I work for Harman, so we have our way of doing or delivering car audio systems.
Right.
But with that said, I mean, so my experience in the industry is, I came from just general acoustics, not car specific. And it's funny. Actually, I'll give you a quote from my first boss here at Harman. The quote is, "It's car audio. Take everything you know about acoustics and throw it out the window." And what he meant by that is there are things that should work that don't, and there are things that shouldn't work that do. And honestly, the best way to find that out is to try. And that's where I think the strength of a supplier like Harman, for example, is we have years and years and years of that firsthand experience of trying stuff in the car. Some of it works great, some of it we've tried and failed. And that's the beauty of ideation and innovation, is always pushing the envelope and trying these things, even though maybe on paper, it shouldn't work up front. So again, yes, I'm biased, but I feel like that's the benefit you get as an automaker when you work with a very experienced partner like Harman, is not just delivering good sound, but how you deliver that sound, what you can do with that sound, and even some of the other things I described, like what it looks like, what it feels like, how to deliver a powerful brand experience. All of these things roll into this one big, beautiful ball, and that's what a good car audio experience is. It's not just the sound, it's all of those things combined.
That's right, Riley. Great. Thank you so much, Riley, for joining us today. And unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much again for taking the time. Same here, Riley. Enjoyed every bit of it. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode at our email, which is autology@spglobal.com. Don't forget to hit all the subscribe, follow, and like buttons to stay on track with the latest Autology podcasts. And we look forward to you joining us again in the next episode. Bye for now.